This car was never designed to be comfortable. It was never designed to be beautiful. And it was never meant to be remembered. Yet today, it is the most valuable car in the world. Some examples of this car are worth more than private jets, more than luxury skyscrapers, more than entire companies, and only a few people on Earth are even allowed to own one. This is the story of the Ferrari 250 GTO. To understand this car, you must first understand the man behind it. Enzo Ferrari did not love road cars. He tolerated them. To Enzo Ferrari, road cars were nothing more than a way to fund racing. His heart belonged to the track. Speed, victory dominance. In the late 1,950 seconds and early 1,960 seconds, motorsport was brutal. Drivers died regularly. Safety was almost non-existent. And winning meant everything. Ferrari was under threat. British manufacturers like Jaguar and Aston Martin were catching up. They were faster, lighter, and more refined. If Ferrari lost on the track, it would lose its reputation and possibly its future. So Enzo Ferrari made a decision. He would build a car that existed for only one purpose: to win. The name of that car was 250 GTO. GTO stands for Gran Turismo Omologato, which means Grand Touring Homologated. Homologated means approved for racing. But here is the truth most people don't realize. Ferrari did not design a road car and turn it into a race car. Ferrari designed a race car and barely made it legal for the road. The Ferrari 250 GTO was introduced in 1962. Under its long, aggressive hood sat a 3-liter V12 engine. It produced over 300 horsepower, an astonishing figure for its time. There was no power steering, no sound insulation, no air conditioning, no luxury. The interior was hot, loud, and uncomfortable. The gearbox was heavy and unforgiving. Driving it required strength, courage, and pain tolerance. Drivers later said that the car did not forgive mistakes. You didn't drive the 250 GTO, you fought it. And yet, on the racetrack, it was nearly unbeatable. Between 1,962 and 1,964, the Ferrari 250 GTO dominated GT racing. It won the World Manufacturers' Championship 3 years in a row. It defeated Jaguar, Aston Martin, and every serious rival. It wasn't the fastest in a straight line. It wasn't the most advanced on paper, but it was balanced, reliable, and terrifyingly effective. For Enzo Ferrari, that was enough. Only 36 Ferrari 250 GTOs were ever built, and Enzo Ferrari personally decided who could buy them. Money was not enough. If you were wealthy but not loyal to Ferrari, you were rejected. If you were famous but not a racer, you were rejected. Some buyers with blank checks were turned away. Others, loyal drivers and trusted clients, were allowed to own one. Owning a 250 GTO was not a purchase. It was a privilege. Then something strange happened. Racing rules changed. New designs arrived. Ferrari moved on. And the 250 GTO was suddenly outdated. Cars that once dominated the world were pushed aside. Some GTOs were sold cheaply. Some were modified. Some were neglected. For a brief moment in history, the greatest car ever built was almost forgotten. But history has a way of correcting itself. In the 1,970 seconds and 1,980 seconds, collectors began to realize something. No other car combined. Racing success, extreme rarity, mechanical purity, and emotional presence. The Ferrari 250 GTO was not just a machine. It was a moment in time. By the 1,990 seconds, prices exploded. In the 2000s, they became unreachable. By the 2010 seconds, private sales crossed $70 million. Today, museums beg owners to display them. Collectors hide them. And auctions treat them like priceless art. One owner famously said, "You don't own a 250 GTO, you protect it for history." So why did this car become so valuable? Because it cannot be recreated. Modern cars rely on computers, software updates, electronic safety systems The 250 GTO relies on metal, heat, noise, and human bravery. It represents a time when driving was dangerous, when mistakes were fatal, when speed had consequences. That is something no modern car can offer or is allowed to offer. And this raises a powerful question. As the world moves toward silent electric cars, autonomous driving, and digital dashboards, are we gaining progress or losing emotion? Will any modern car ever be loved the way the Ferrari 250 GTO is loved? Or was this kind of passion only possible in a world that no longer exists? Enzo Ferrari never built the 250 GTO to be remembered. He built it to win races. And yet decades later, it outlived every race it ever ran. It became the most valuable car in history, by accident. So the next time you hear the word classic, remember this. Some cars are old, some cars are rare, but a few become legends. What makes the Ferrari 250 GTO truly different is not just its price. It is the fact that almost every single one still exists. In a world where race cars are usually destroyed, crashed, or forgotten, the survival of nearly all 250 GTOs is almost unbelievable. Each car has a name, a chassis number, a racing history. Collectors do not just track ownership, they track every race, every repair, every driver who ever touched the steering wheel. This is not ownership. This is guardianship. Many owners refuse to sell their cars at any price, not because they need the money, but because once you sell a 250 GTO, you can never get it back. The Ferrari 250 GTO also represents the end of an era. It was built in a time when aerodynamics were shaped by instinct, not computers. When engineers trusted experience more than simulations, when mistakes were learned on the track, not on screens, its body was formed by hand, hammered, shaped, adjusted by human eyes and human judgment. Perfection was not the goal. Winning was. Another incredible truth about the 250 GTO is that no two cars are exactly the same. Some had subtle aerodynamic differences. Some had engine changes. Some were modified during racing seasons. Each car evolved with the battles it fought. In today's world of identical mass-produced vehicles, this uniqueness is priceless. Many people believe the Ferrari 250 GTO is valuable only because it is rare. That is not true. There are rarer cars. There are faster cars. There are more luxurious cars. But there are no cars that combine racing dominance, mechanical purity, human danger, and perfect timing. The 250 GTO arrived at the exact moment when racing was raw, emotional, and unforgiving. And then that world disappeared forever. There's also a deep irony in its legacy. Enzo Ferrari disliked collectors. He believed cars were meant to race, not to rest in garages. Yet today, the 250 GTO is treated like priceless artwork. Some owners drive them only once a year. Some never drive them at all. Not because they do not want to, but because one mistake could erase history. Modern hypercars are safer, faster, and smarter. They use computers to protect drivers, electronics to correct errors, software to limit danger. The Ferrari 250 GTO had none of this. Every drive was a risk. Every race was a gamble. Every victory was earned through fear. And that danger created emotion. That emotion is what people miss today. Speed alone is no longer enough. People remember how something made them feel. And the Ferrari 250 GTO made people feel alive. There's one final truth about this car. The car never changed. The world did. What was once considered outdated became irreplaceable. What was once ignored became worshipped. And what was once built only to win races became the most valuable car ever created. As the automotive world moves toward electric motors, artificial intelligence, and autonomous driving, the Ferrari 250 GTO stands as a reminder. Progress is inevitable. Emotion is not. Once lost, it never returns. And that is why this car is priceless. Not because it is fast, not because it is rare, but because it reminds us of what driving once meant. There is something almost mythical about how the Ferrari 250 GTO sounds. People who have heard it in real life say the sound is not loud. It is alive. The V12 does not scream. It sings. It growls. It warns. At full speed, the engine noise becomes physical. You feel it in your chest, in your hands, in your bones. Modern cars try to simulate emotion through speakers and software. The 250 GTO needed none of that. Its sound was real, unfiltered, unapologetic. That sound alone is enough to stop crowds, even today. At classic racing events, when a 250 GTO appears, everything else becomes background noise. People stop talking. Phones come out. Eyes lock on the car, not because it is fast, but because it feels alive. Driving a Ferrari 250 GTO was never easy. Drivers had to learn the car, respect it, fear it. There were no driving aids, no traction control, no stability systems. If the rear stepped out, you corrected it yourself, or you crashed. Many drivers said the car tested their limits constantly, but that challenge created a bond. Drivers trusted the car because it demanded respect, not comfort. Today, cars are designed to protect drivers from themselves. The 250 GTO expected drivers to rise to its level. There is another detail rarely discussed. The Ferrari 250 GTO was never meant to survive this long. Race cars are disposable by nature. They are pushed, stressed, broken. Yet most GTOs survived decades of racing. Why? Because Ferrari overbuilt the mechanicals, not for reliability, but for victory. That unintended strength allowed the car to survive history. Many modern collectors describe their first time seeing a 250 GTO as emotional. Some describe goosebumps. Others describe silence. Because when you stand next to one, you realize something. This car existed before modern safety laws, before emissions rules, before corporate committees. It was built in a time when one man could decide everything. Enzo Ferrari did not ask for approval. He demanded results. That authority shaped the car. There have been legal battles over the Ferrari 250 GTO. Ferrari attempted to trademark the design decades later, claiming exclusive rights to its shape. Collectors fought back, arguing the car belonged to history, not corporations, even in court. The 250 GTO created controversy. That is the power of legend. There is also mystery surrounding ownership. Many GTOs are hidden, stored in private collections, never photographed, never shown. Owners value privacy as much as possession. Some cars appear only once a decade, at secret events, private gatherings. This secrecy increases the myth. A car unseen becomes more powerful in imagination. Compare this to modern hypercars. They are launched with press events, social media campaigns, influencer drives. Exposure is instant. Mystery disappears. The Ferrari 250 GTO grew quietly over decades. That slow rise is part of its magic. Another reason the GTO remains untouchable is that Ferrari itself refuses to recreate it. Modern Ferraris borrow inspiration, but never imitation, because recreating it would dilute its power. Some things gain value by remaining untouched. There's a lesson hidden in this story. Not everything improves with technology. Not everything becomes better with progress. Sometimes the absence of limits creates something unforgettable. The Ferrari 250 GTO was built without fear of failure, without concern for comfort, without thought of legacy. And that is exactly why it became immortal. When people ask, what is the greatest car ever made? The answer changes depending on logic. Fastest, most advanced, most efficient. But when the question becomes emotional, the answer becomes clear. Ferrari 250 GTO. Because greatness is not measured by numbers. It is measured by impact. As decades pass, electric motors will replace engines. Software will replace skill. But stories like this will remain. Because humans do not remember efficiency. They remember emotion. And few machines ever created emotion like this car. One day, even the Ferrari 250 GTO will stop appearing in public. Owners will grow older. Cars will become too valuable to move. But the legend will not fade. Because legends do not rely on presence. They rely on memory. And that is why, long after engines go silent, after steering wheels disappear, after driving becomes optional, people will still talk about a red car built in Italy by men who valued victory above all else. A car that was never meant to be remembered, yet became unforgettable.